What's up everyone, it's Jay here at the Aimless Cook, and on today's video we're going to be making some Shaangxi inspired hand-pulled noodles. Now these noodles are extremely cool because they're so much fun to make and they're extremely delicious with just a few humble ingredients that you probably have in your kitchen right now. So what are we waiting for? Let's go in the kitchen and make some.
Okay, so let's start with the noodles. We're going to need 915 grams of all-purpose flour and 7 grams of kosher salt. So what we're going to do is we're going to sift the flour and the salt into the bowl of the stand mixer. And if you don't have stand mixer, you can also do these by hand as well. So we're going to start the mixer on the lowest speed with the dough hook and then slowly add 520 grams of cold water. Now once the water is added, we're going to knead the dough for 15 minutes or until it becomes smooth and elastic. Now when it's done, I'm just going to turn it out onto the work surface here, and I'm just going to knead the rest by hand into the rough shape that I want, which is kind of flat, which will give us a head start for the cutting. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub on a layer of oil just to keep it moist so that it doesn't dry out during the time that we're going to rest it. And we're going to cover it and rest it and set it aside for at least an hour. The resting time is key to this recipe since we're relaxing this gluten that we're developing during the kneading process. When the dough is sufficiently rested, we're going to turn it out onto a lightly oiled surface and roll it into a 1/4 inch sheet. This is much like we did with the bao recipe that we did a few weeks ago. Once you have your sheet, I'm going to cut it into 3 by 6 inch rectangular strips. It's easiest to do this with a bench scraper. And as you can see here, I'm using that fancy pastry cutter. Now once our pieces are finally cut, we're going to carefully place them into a container in a single layer, separating each layer with a sheet of parchment paper. Now you want to be sure to oil each layer as well because you want them thoroughly coated so that they absolutely cannot dry on the surface. Now cover the container and let the dough rest again for another hour or 2. This will again rest the gluten so that the strips will be easier to stretch when the time comes. To make the noodles, simply get a large pot of boiling water ready. Now take a strip of dough and hold it so that the ends are held between the heels of your thumbs and the first 3 fingertips of each hand. Stretch the dough and vigorously slap it on the surface of the counter as you stretch it. Sometimes it might break, and that's okay. Once you stretch the strip, take it by the middle and gently tear it in half lengthwise. This will give the noodles that frilly edge, perfect for picking up sauces and toppings that will accompany them. Now let's watch it again quickly. So now that you pulled and ripped the first noodle, drop it into the boiling water and make another one. Now normally at the restaurant we make about 2 or 3 of these per serving. Since they're super fresh, they don't take long at all to cook. In fact, once we drop the noodles, we start adding the vegetables and protein to a mixing bowl. In the time it takes to fill the bowl, the noodles should be done, which is about 30 to 35 seconds. So while those noodles are going, we got a mixing bowl here, and we're just going to simply combine and toss together some carrots, cabbage, a bit of ground protein here, in which case we're using just a bit of ground pork. You can use ground lamb, whatever you got. Lastly, we're going to add a bit of cilantro and scallions, and then we're just going to toss to bring everything together, and then we're going to set that aside, and we're going to start on our ingredients for our sizzling chili oil. In a ramekin, we're going to put in some chili flakes with gochugaru, minced ginger and garlic, scallions, and ground Szechuan peppercorns. We're going to mix it all together, and then we'll go back to our bowl with the noodles. The noodles are done, so we're going to put them into that mixing bowl with the veg and the meat, and just going to use our tongs and toss everything to bring it together. Now let's plate this. So in our serving bowl, I'm just going to get it ready by putting in a bit of soy sauce on the bottom, followed by a little bit of chicken base powder or bouillon powder, whatever you want to call it, as well as a bit of black vinegar. From there, we're just going to put our noodles and veg that we just mixed up on the top. Plate that nicely, and then what we're going to do is we're going to grab that ramekin full of the chilies, and we'll put that right in the middle of the top. Now on the stove, we heated up a 1/4 cup of canola oil till it was starting to smoke. And when it's hot, we carefully take it and pour it on top of that nice spicy pile you just made from the ramekin. Now just take the time to savor the aroma of what you just did and bask in your glory. So we're giving everything a final mix, and then we're going to season to taste with an assortment of Chinese condiments. Today we're going to use soy sauce, black vinegar, white pepper. I like mine with a little more acidic tang to it, so I just add more black vinegar. If you like more salt, add more soy. You know how it goes. And we're going to garnish at the end with more cilantro and scallions, and then we are going to crush this.
So what do you think of that? That's our recipe for the Shaangxi style hand-pulled noodle. What do you think? 6 feet of these huge noodles. Incredible. So take this recipe, make it yours, and have fun in the kitchen, which brings me to my question of the day. What kind of noodles would you like to see me make on this channel next? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. So be sure to stick around till the end of the video for some more great recipes from this show, and I will see you next time.